My wife didn't just betray me, she planned to erase me. She saw my mother's death as her winning lottery ticket, but the game she was playing had rules she didn't understand, because my mother had already written them. At my mother's graveside, Jenna's hand was a perfect anchor in mine. Her grief felt real, her support, a steady comfort. For a few weeks, I believed we were mourning together. I was wrong. She wasn't mourning. She was waiting. 3 weeks later, I was in a lawyer's office. A folder was pushed across the desk. Inside were numbers I couldn't comprehend. My mother, a woman who clipped coupons and drove a 10-year-old car, had quietly built a small fortune. I felt nothing but a wave of sadness. I work in finance. I understand money, but I've never chased it. Jenna, however, saw it differently. When I told her, something in her eyes shifted. The quiet sympathy was replaced by a bright, hungry glow. The change was subtle at first. Designer bags appeared in the closet. A spontaneous weekend trip to Napa, she said, to clear our heads. Her smile was a little too bright. Her touch a little too transactional. I told myself it was her way of coping. I had just poured her coffee, the way I always did. She sat down, her hands folded on the table. She looked me in the eye. The words hung in the air. I waited for the rest. For the tears, the apologies, the regret. Nothing. She took a slow sip of her coffee. There it was. Not, I'm sorry. Not, this isn't working. It was a demand. A business transaction. She thought my mother's inheritance was community property. She thought my grief was her payday. She hired a shark of a lawyer. She started planning her new life, convinced her victory was a legal formality. And through it all, I said nothing. I let her run. I let her believe, because I knew something she didn't. I knew about my mother. A year before she passed, we were sitting on her porch. Jenna's a smart girl, my mother had told me, stirring her tea. But don't ever mistake ambition for love. Some people aren't looking for a partner. They're looking for a position. My mother wasn't just humble. She was shrewd. Her love was a fortress. The inheritance wasn't a simple bank transfer. It was a gift, delivered into an ironclad, preemptively protected trust. A trust with one explicit condition. The assets were mine and mine alone. Untouchable. Separate. My wife's name was nowhere on it. The day she found out, she came home like a storm. The look on her face wasn't sadness or heartbreak. It was the pure, distilled rage of a gambler who just realized the deck was stacked against them from the start. I stood up slowly, the cold clarity washing over me. I didn't let you think anything. You assumed. You saw a number in a ledger and your ambition did the rest. I looked at the woman I once loved. The woman I married wouldn't have seen my mother's death as a financial opportunity. You are not entitled to the money my mother spent a lifetime protecting. She left that night. The slam of the door was the first honest sound our house had made in months. In the quiet that followed, I finally looked. Her texts, her emails, it was all there. A whole other life built on lies. One message to her friend, sent the day after the inheritance cleared, hit me like a physical blow. Once the money is mine, I'm gone. I'm finally getting the life I deserve. She never loved me. She loved what I represented. First stability, then opportunity. The divorce was clean. She left with what she brought into the marriage, which was very little. I was left with my mother's legacy. Not just the money, but the clarity. Her final gift wasn't financial. It was freedom. She saw the cracks in my life long before I was willing to, and she protected me from beyond the grave. Sometimes, the greatest revenge isn't a loud, angry war. It's silence. It's success. And it's watching the person who underestimated you realize, far too late, that my mother outplayed them from the very beginning.